So we are going to start with the basics here and talk about email appending 101, which is going to start with what is email appending. Also known as e-appending, it's the process of taking your known customer data, matching it against the vendor's opt-in database, and you're obtaining, in order to obtain email addresses. So let's take a look at a more literal example. So say this is your database. Here's just a snippet of your database. Maybe you ship catalogs, or maybe you only have shipping info. For whatever reason, you don't have email addresses, but you do have first and last name, and you do have postal address. That's good news, because you can take this stuff and through the process of email appending, you find a vendor or responsible vendor that's going to email append for you. And for each of those people, you'll be able to find an email address that matches up based on these huge opt-in databases, multi-source partners, things like that. We'll get into all of that. But for now, just kind of the simple process. For Joe Smith, we got joesmith97@gmail.com. Cool, sounds like him. Sarah Watson, skate girl, maybe she likes skating. That one matches up. So this is kind of just how the process works. You're getting email addresses from name and postal. All right, let's talk about some of the benefits of this process. Why would you want to do this process? Well, I mean, the obvious one is you're increasing your audience. You're expanding your email database, which means more chances for ROI, better opportunities. You have a larger database. You're collecting more data. Always a good thing in marketing. Up next, it's a pretty fast process. It's actually from end to end. It's not bad. I know Fresh Address does ours, and that includes matching, hygiene, permission messaging, and results, 15 business days. And if you want to skip the messaging part, do auto, then it's a few hours. But for the most part, these processes are going to be done pretty quick. Loyalty and win back. This is a chance to get in touch with those customers that maybe you've only been doing direct mailing for, maybe you haven't really been marketing towards at all. So you want to be able to win back these customers, reintroduce your brand, establish some loyalty, get onto the email space, which is a more effective way of marketing, especially with, as generations come up, email becoming way more prominent than direct mail, at least speaking as a millennial. Eco-friendly, environmentally sound. So less direct mailing means you're using less paper, which means you're saving more trees, a little more email, less carbon footprint, and all that. That's actually, that's going to be a really good thing. And then in addition to that, you're saving costs on postage and things like that. So switching to email, more positive aspects of switching over. Another one, repeatable. It's a repeatable process. So our database is changing all the time, as are our partners' databases. People's email addresses are changing. People are changing their home addresses. Things are getting updated, expanded. So even if you match one of your files and say 30% of it got matched, take those 70% unmatched, keep those, because you're going to want to keep running those through, because like I said, those will change a lot. And we'll talk a little bit more about what kind of return you can get on repeating that process. One more benefit, your competitors are doing it. Your competitors are probably doing it already. If they're not, good, you can get a leg up this way, but it's just a way to keep up with the competition. You want to keep expanding that database. You want to keep emailing. You want to keep that marketing campaign strong, and keep putting yourself in front of customers, keep trying to win back deals, and increase your ROI. All right, we did the what and the why. How about deciding whether appending is right for you? So we got Bill Shakespeare helping us out here. To append or not to append. Here are some things just to qualify yourself to see if this is something you might want to pursue. Do you have name, company, postal addresses? So first name, last name, and postal is what we require for a consumer email append. Company is there because we do B2B as well, and other vendors will do B2B, which means you'll have to have the company name as well. But first name, last name, postal, basically what you need for a consumer append. Is your list in the tens or hundreds of thousands? The way this works, it's kind of a numbers game. So the more records you can give, the more results you'll get. And most companies will have a tiered system like Fresh Address, where the more records you provide, the less you're paying per match. Have you established an ROI in the email channel? So maybe you're starting to realize that, wow, our email results are way higher than our direct mail results. We got to get everyone into this email campaign. That's a good time to take all those blank email spaces in your database and try to fill those with some effective addresses. Or maybe you're not doing email at all. Maybe you want to get into it, but you don't have a you don't have a database of emails. Well, if you have a list of customers that maybe you've been shipping to, or that you've done business with before, this is a great time to flip them over into an email channel and reintroduce yourself from a different angle. Finally, are you asking everywhere for email addresses and just aren't getting enough of them? We're talking about point of sale, cash registers, web forms, trade shows, registering for your website, anything like that. You want to make sure that you're asking for those emails to improve on your database. If that's still not getting it done for you, check out Email Appending. We might be the match for you in terms of getting that email database a little bit bigger, a little bit better. And like I mentioned on that numbers game, I can say, like, at least from the fresh address perspective, we see like 15 to 35% of your list get matched on a consumer append and more like 10 to 30% on B2B, which I'll get into a little bit, but just to kind of put some numbers to that second bullet point there. All right, so this next slide is something cool that a team internally here at Fresh Address worked on for a little while in trying to determine the value of an email address. So obviously, everyone's going to have a different perception of this, but you want to take into account, well, what percentage of your email addresses are converting? What percentage of those are buying? What percent? And then taking an average. You know, we've seen tons of different companies use a lot of different formulas to figure this out, but basically we just pulled some of those values here across different industries just to kind of give you a sense of here's what other people in your industry are saying they think an email address is worth. So you can see these range from like $100 marketing agency up to $500 for telecom, up to $10,000 for healthcare, and you know, these are real tangible values that people are attaching to email addresses, and they may be more than you think, but I think if you sit down and kind of actually determine this, you'll see that these emails can be worth more than you think. So my question to you is, how can you not afford to spend the 50 cents or less to acquire a 100% guaranteed deliverable address? We're just adding these numbers to your database. All of these vendors, that's what we're all doing. We're trying to add to your database so that you can reap the benefits of these emails and figure out the value of your own email, and you can kind of weigh that out on your own. But just to let you know, if you're ready for appending, take a look at some of those values. All right, finally here on the reasons why. It's 2018, it's almost 2019. I've been to enough trade shows, marketing trade shows now, to know that data is all the rage in marketing right now. You want to collect as much data as you can on your customers in order to give them the best possible buying procedure, the best customization, the best personalization. All this data helps. And I would say that email is probably the biggest piece of that puzzle. So that's one thing. If you do have some holes in your database in that email column, you definitely want to plug those up with some real valid emails. So that's how this stuff can really benefit you and keep you modern, keep you up with the times in terms of marketing. All right, so that covers the what and the why. Let's talk about the how, the actual process of appending these emails, which I've touched upon a little bit. We're going to start with B2C. We're talking about consumer email addresses. So first thing, you have your existing customer postal database, and you send it in for processing. Now, the word customer is underlined there because it's very important that these are customer addresses, customer first name, last name, people that you've done business with. You can't append a prospect list. You're going to run into all sorts of can spam problems that way. You got to stick to the rules. You got to stay above board. You're only collecting emails of those people you've done business with already. So after you send in your database, send in your list, then the vendor is going to take that list and they're going to match based on their database, sometimes based on partners' databases. They'll do some multi-sourcing. Here at Fresh Address, we do some multi-sourcing with some carefully vetted and trusted partners in order to fill those gaps Of course, all of our databases here are 100% opted in. Everyone in our database has consented to be contacted on marketing emails. That's very important. We'll get to how to choose vendors in a little bit, but of course, that is an aspect that you want to pay attention to. Up next, a really important one to us here at FreshAddress, suppressions are run. Those email addresses that are getting matched, those aren't valuable yet. You don't know what those are. Those could be more damaging than good to your email database. So you want to find a vendor who has this built in, a suppression system, so that you want someone that specializes in clean emails so that you can get rid of any malicious emails, any frequent complainers, typos, formatting errors, spam traps, bogus, role accounts, and more. You want all those out of those lists before you start sending to these new addresses in order to make sure that what you paid for, you're actually getting some return on, and it's not actually hurting you. You know, you want to avoid any pingers in this space and make sure you go with a trusted hygiene solution. Next up, this step is a key step in the appending process, and this is where we also see a lot of things go wrong. A welcome email, very important. A permission email, it's also called. These get sent out to your appended emails, and either you can do this on your own or you can find a vendor that'll do it for you. It's a nice perk if you can find that. This welcome email is sent out and says, hey, you know us, you've done business with us. We want to start emailing you new offers, new deals, good stuff that you can click on and access via online. Do we have permission to do that? And then you give them a very easy decision, very clearly laid out, to say, yes, you can email me, or no, you don't have my permission. We'll talk about what to do with those results in a few slides, but this is a key part of the process. You don't want to miss this, because CAN-SPAM, according to CAN-SPAM, you don't have to do this. It's not illegal to email those people directly, but it's best practice, and if you're not doing it, then you're just getting yourself in loads of trouble. So it's strongly recommended, and I put strongly in bold and underlined. Finally, you get your file back to you. It's filled with email addresses. Every email address you have, you know, is successfully deliverable, isn't going to cause any problems in your database, and then we'll talk about how to implement those into your campaigns. All right, so B2B next. B2B is a little bit trickier because, of course, there's a lot more people moving companies than moving addresses, and there's a lot more people changing their company email addresses than their consumer email addresses. It's just the way the world works right now. So it's basically the same process. The only thing we introduce is this corporate domain pattern matching. And it's not something FreshAddress does internally, but it's something some of our partners will do who have these knowledge databases of corporate email patterns. They've seen enough emails come through from these corporations to know that, take FreshAddress, for example, my email is rtravers@freshaddress.com. First initial, last name at freshaddress.com. Same for Keith, kreinhardt@freshaddress.com. Once they have that pattern down, they can do some matching based on those patterns. Because, once again, it's already a customer. They've already done some business with you. So it's not some random guess at this person's email. No dictionary attacks, no random guessing, and especially no role accounts here. If you get a role account back, like an info@freshaddress.com, that's going to go to more than just one person. That's going to go to who knows how many people, and who knows how many of those people are going to hit the spam button on you because they don't know who you are. So you definitely want to avoid anything that's giving you back role accounts. You want to stay specific to a person. That's why B2B it's a little bit trickier, but it can be really effective finding those pattern matched emails.